I went to the Google Web Creator Conversation event that was held in Mountain View, California, and here are my takeaways from what happened while there, because since coming home, I am absolutely exhausted just from the stuff that's been going down on social media and the things that are being said and people putting words into our mouths and coming up with all these crazy theories. So I thought I would just share what happened from the perspective of somebody that actually went there. So going back, giving a little bit of background as to it. So in the past year, Google have been doing a lot of algorithm updates that have had some quite big effects on lots of small publishers. So the first one started in September 2023. This was a helpful content update, which here a lot of people and their traffic disappeared overnight. I was quite lucky in the sense that I avoided that one, but then I got hit by the one in March. This was a 45-day algorithm update and it hit me while I was in Vietnam, so that was brilliant. And again, I lost a lot of my traffic almost overnight, and then I got hit again in August and I pretty much lost everything. So I have been a travel blogger for the past 9 years. I've been doing it as a job for the past 4, and I don't know, I guess since March time I've kind of got used to the fact that nothing's happened, nothing's come back. If anything, it got worse. But then after the March one, they released a form. So it's like almost like Google knew that they'd done wrong because they released like a feedback form where you could submit like what you thought search results. So I went through and I submitted a bunch of like my highest traffic posts that I lost, and I said what was replacing it and how I didn't think it was helpful. Well, it turns out that in September, from this feedback form, a bunch of creators got invited to Google regarding what was on those forms. So there were 13,000 submissions of people that thought their sites had been hit unfairly, and some of us then obviously got invited to discuss that in more detail. So I will say now that they did pay for the flight from the UK for me, and they also put me up in a hotel for 2 nights, and I had food and drink on the day of the event. But other than that, I had to foot my own travel and other food, so I ended up spending about £100 on the event. But being a travel blogger, it's like in a way I just saw it as an opportunity to go somewhere that I wouldn't necessarily go. I didn't have high expectations before I went, and I don't necessarily have high expectations coming home from it. So there were kind of like 3 things that I guess I learned from it. So we all got a chance to speak, and then we had breakout sessions. It was more Google wanting to learn what we had found from our perspective was happening. So the main one of the ones that we came up, especially in the travel niche, is that what's now being shown on page 1 and 2 of a search result, there's no room for small publishers. It's all the likes of Reddit, TripAdvisor, the main tourism boards multiple times over. There's honestly not much space for other voices. And it obviously never used to be this way. Like as a blogger, you know, there might be like say 5 blog spots, and now you're lucky if there's 1. So everything that's kind of on page 1 isn't necessarily helpful. And that was something that a lot of us had concerns about, because we were like, the results you're displaying aren't necessarily good, and like AI overviews aren't always accurate. So that was kind of frustrating as somebody that writes like first person, uses all my own photos and stuff. That was frustrating that we don't even get a chance to be shown anymore. So that's kind of like problem number 1, is that they need to get better at showing a better set of search results, because as a user myself, I don't use Google anymore. I haven't used Google for about the last 6 months or so, because I find that it generally doesn't bring back answers to the things that I want. So that was the first one. It's like they need to get better at changing what's coming up on page 1. And then the second one, which was like a general like feeling amongst everyone, is that there is some form of like classifier or like a shadow ban among things for us to lose like all of our traffic overnight. It just felt like we'd kind of been blackmarked for something. It's like we had like this dark cloud over our site where it's like, nope, you're no good anymore. And it feels like that both of those things need to somehow change. Like the people that we spoke to kept saying it's like a page level thing, it's not a site wide thing, it's down to the page. Well, it seems that like all pages have been hit, so it's like, yeah, it might be a page thing, but it's across the whole site, so then essentially it's a site wide thing. And it feels like, so those two things both need to change. So it'd have to be a case of, if there is a black cloud or we've been kind of like marked as something, that needs to kind of be removed, or we need to know how to remove it, as well as the front page fixing itself, or at least giving bloggers or small publishers a chance to be shown. Because at the moment, obviously, if page 1 was to change, I'm now on like page 10. So before, where like my content was helpful for like 4 years, they're now saying it's not helpful when I know it is, because people tell me that it is. So it's like they kind of both need to change. It's like, if there is some form of thing that's pushing us down in the rankings that low, that kind of needs to be removed, as well as just giving us space on the page. So the third thing that kind of came out of my thoughts of it was just the fact that I got to meet other people in a similar situation to me, because obviously in like general life, it's a very strange thing to be going through. Not many people really understand like the inner workings of Google. I don't think Google really know how it does either, but it was nice to meet other people, and we were able to bounce ideas off each other, and it felt like we all had exactly the same thoughts, even though we were in different niches. Some of us were like giant bloggers, some of us were a little bit smaller, but it all felt like we had the same pain points. So for me, the benefit of going has been purely kind of just the group that I met, because going forward, where do I go from here? I feel that things might not change. If I'm being completely honest, it's like, I think some people higher up don't care so much. They, like any big business, I think half of it is only about the money. I do think they realise there is some form of a problem, but it has to go through a giant chain. And there is an update coming out soon, but then they said that this particular update won't be affected by what happened, because it's too far in the process to be affected by the talks that we had literally a few days ago, because it's already in the process of rolling out. So I don't coming from like Twitter and that, it's like I've seen people be like, oh, like load of good that did, you know, you went all the way out there and nothing's changed. It's like this update had been in the works for months, so it's already too late for that one, and they said it might be too late for the next update, so we could be looking at like 6 months. So personally, from what I am doing as a travel blogger, is I'm not making anything new. I don't see the point for now, because I've been making content for the past 6 months and I've still been posting it, and it's been doing nothing, and the ones that were ranking are going down. So I'm not making anything new. I am doing more video content, so I've been trying to do like more shorts on here, and then on like TikTok I've been doing TikToks every day. So I'm pivoting more towards video for now. But speaking to other people, and I think from like what I gather as to why so many people might have been hit, so like I will take a little bit of responsibility, because back in like 2018, 2019, I didn't know anything about SEO. I was writing and it wasn't necessarily being found. Some things like by chance were found and I was getting a little bit of traffic, but it wasn't until I started doing keyword research that everything kind of took off. And I think now that kind of way of like blogging, I think that might be what's been punished. Like, I think that's what it is. So where like it would be like you would do the keyword research, and then you would find the keyword and you'd put it in your title, you'd put it in the URL, and then you'd put it like in the beginning paragraph, like, oh, like find out things to do here or whatever. I think that is now being considered as over optimization, which is I think why so many, like say in the travel niche, have been hit, because that's kind of like the template of like how to write a post. You put it in the title, you put it like, that's what the post is about. It's like if you have a book with like a title name, you would kind of expect the book to kind of have some relevance to the title, especially if you say it wasn't like a fiction book. If it was like a non-fiction book, you would expect the title to match the contents. And I think that where now say some things are being flagged as like potentially spam, and I think maybe that's what's hit me, is that they don't like it if you find a keyword and then it's like in the title, in the URL. I think that's getting considered as over optimization, which I think is a bit silly, because as a user myself, if I search things to do in, say, Ao Nang, for example, the result I'm probably going to click on is one that says things to do in Ao Nang. If it was one that was like plan your trip to Ao Nang, Thailand, I would be thinking, well, that might have like hotels, transport, like things that I don't necessarily want to know about. If I want to know about things to do, I'm going to search and click on the one that says things to do, because I think that will answer my query. And there's like this whole like contradicting thing of you have to kind of give the user what they want. So it's like, again, answering their query, but then you can't call it what they might be searching for. So I think it's quite contradictory. And like I said, I think that's why maybe travel has been hit so hard, is because, again, this is just what I think. I think things like that is kind of like the template of how a post is structured is what potentially is now being flagged as spam. Yet it answers the question that the user's searching for. and it would make sense, because looking at, say, some of the things that I've lost, like some of the keywords that I've lost, some of the things that are now replacing it have a completely different title that are nothing to do with the keyword that you're looking for. Or like you'll look at ones I used to optimize for and I'm ranking for stuff that's completely different to the whole point of my post. So it feels like that's broken in a way. So like I said, not going to write anything new unless anything drastically comes out of the updates, and I'll see what the next update does. If things, I mean, things can't get any worse. If so, I think I am just going to go back through maybe a bunch of my posts and then just like delete all like the type of things that like over optimize, and in the hope that maybe something gets picked up again, because it can't get much worse. So yeah, so I feel like the event gave me exactly expectations of what I thought would happen. I didn't expect my traffic to come back, and from listening to what things have said, I don't expect it's going to come back anytime soon. So yeah, I don't know what the future of search is like. It seems that potentially they don't necessarily care, or not some people care, some people do, but some people don't. And I think the people that don't care are the ones that ultimately have the highest, like the biggest say in the matter. So I don't think I'll be writing so much anymore, but I'm appreciative that I was given the chance to like have a voice. There's not often that you could say go to a huge brand like that and they would like listen to you, or somebody in it will listen to you. So I feel like we all did a great job at kind of representing like our communities and our niches, but I think there's ulterior search motives that are going on, like the ChatGPT search. Apparently the people that have tried that seems to be quite, I don't know, like the ones that are coming up, it's kind of a mix of small and big publishers that are coming out with that. So maybe that will be the way forward, but I don't know. But for now, I potentially wouldn't expect much to come out of the next year. So if you have any questions, let me know and I'll try and answer them the best I can. But I'm not expecting anything to come from it.